it's Melanie. Welcome to my channel. Today I have another book outlet haul for you, so stay tuned. Yes, I know, I am still very behind on my book outlet hauls. I'm working on it. Today I have my May book outlet haul for you. Alright, so let's just dig right in. Okay, so we got paper and paper and more paper and the receipt. Okay, so the first book I have here is Freaky Green Eyes by Joyce Carol Oates. This is an odd size book. It's like bigger than mass market, but smaller than the regular paperback. So Freaky Green Eyes is about a girl named Frankie whose parents split up and her mom disappears. And Frankie has this thing inside her that she calls Freaky Green Eyes, and Freaky Green Eyes is telling her that there's something fishy going on with her mom's disappearance, and only Freaky and Frankie can figure it out. And it says will haunt readers long after the final page. I got this for $3.19. Okay, next up is Illusions of Fate by Kiersten White. And I have a few other books by Kiersten White. I have The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein and Slayer and Annie Darken. And I thought I would just add to my collection. I have read Slayer and I've read part of A Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein and really enjoyed those, so I wanted to get more. This says, an ordinary girl will be swept up in a world of romance, deception, and magic. When she left her island home to study in gray, dreary Albion, Jessamine never thought she'd discover a secret world. She never expected to be caught in a power struggle between sinister Lord Downpike and charming Finn Ackerley, and she never imagined that she'd win Finn's affections, or that it might be up to her to save him. Fortunately, fate has other ideas. And it sounds cute, and this cover is really cool looking, like you got these birds flying off the teacup. This was $3.19. Okay, next up we have The Duke of Dark Desires by Miranda Neville. And, well, I had another book by her. I read it. It was a fun kind of historical fiction / smutty read. And I enjoyed it okay. I thought I would try another out. This one says, wanted, governess able to keep all hours. Rebellious Julian Fortescue never expected to inherit a dukedom, nor to find himself guardian to 3 young half-sisters. Now in the market for a governess, he lays eyes on Jane Grey and knows immediately she is qualified to become his mistress. Yet the alluring woman appears impervious to him. Somehow, Julian must find a way to make her succumb to temptation, without losing his heart and revealing the haunting mistakes of his past. Lady Jeanne de Faleron didn't seek a position as a governess simply to fall in bed with the Duke of Dinford. Under the alias of Jane Grey, she must learn which of the Duke's relatives is responsible for the death of her family and take her revenge. She certainly can't afford the distraction of her darkly irresistible employer or the smoldering desire he ignites within her. But as Jane discovers more clues about the villain she seeks, she's faced with the possibility more disturbing than her growing feelings for Julian. What will she do if the man she loves is also the man she's sworn to kill? And, well, I thought it sounded interesting. Thought it sounded like a fun, kind of smutty read. And, well, that cover's pretty nice, too. Anyway, this was $2.69. Okay, next up is, I believe this is a middle grade book, and that is A Stitch in Time by Penelope Lively. This cover totally gave me Summer of Salt feels. Anyway, this says, Maria is always getting lost in the secret world of her imagination. So when she begins to hear things that nobody else does, she's not sure if they are real. Then Maria finds a Victorian embroidered picture and feels a strange connection with the 10-year-old girl, Harriet, who stitched it. As Maria becomes more absorbed in Harriet's world, she fears that something tragic took place. And this is a Collins Modern Classics. And I got this for $3.79. Next up we have Sleep No More by April Lynn Pike. And this is a really cool looking cover to me. It says, forget the past, change the present, fight the future. This says, oracles see the future, but they're never supposed to interfere. Charlotte learned that the hard way. If she hadn't tried to change one of her childhood visions, her mother wouldn't be in a wheelchair and her father would still be alive. Since that fateful accident, Charlotte has tried to suppress her visions, but when she receives a premonition of a classmate's murder, she knows she can no longer sit idly by. Then she meets Smith, a man who not only knows Charlotte's secret, but who also claims to have a way for her to manipulate her visions to change the future. But doing this means Charlotte must put herself in the path of the murderer. And I got this for $3.19. Okay, next up I have the Anomaly trilogy by Krista McGee. So we have book 1, which is Anomaly, book 2, which is Luminary, and book 3, which is Revolutionary. And I'll just tell you what book 1 says. Thalia has 15 minutes and 23 seconds left to live. The toxic gas that will complete her annihilation is invading her bloodstream, but she is not afraid. Decades before Thalia's birth, the world was decimated by a nuclear war, but life continued deep underground thanks to a handful of scientists known as the 10. There they created genetically engineered human beings who are free of emotions in the hope that war won't threaten the world again. Thalia is an anomaly, born with the ability to feel emotions and a sense of curiosity she can barely contain. She has survived so far by hiding her differences, but then her secret is discovered when she's overwhelmed by the emotion of an ancient piece of music. The 10 quickly schedule her annihilation, but her childhood friend Burke, a scientist being groomed by the 10, convinces them to postpone her death and study her instead. While in the scientist pod, Thalia and Burke form a dangerous alliance, one strictly forbidden by the constant surveillance. As her life ticks away, she hears rumors of someone called the Designer, someone even more powerful than the 10. What's more, the parts of her that have always been an anomaly could in fact be part of a much larger plan, and the parts of her that she has always guarded could be the answers she's been looking for all along. Thalia must sort out what to believe and who to trust before her time runs out. And I thought it sounded really interesting. And so I got the whole trilogy. So Anomaly was $2.19, Luminary was $5.39, and Revolutionary was $3.19. Next up we have Across a Star-Swept Sea by Diane Petterfroud. This says, centuries after wars nearly destroyed civilization, the islands of Galatia and Albion stand alone. A paradise where even the reduction, the devastating brain disorder that sparked the wars, is a distant memory. Yet on Galatia, an uprising against the aristocracy has turned deadly, and the only hope is a mysterious spy known as the Wild Poppy. On neighboring Albion, no one suspects that the Wild Poppy is actually famously frivolous teenage aristocrat Paris Blake. Her gossipy flutter notes are encrypted plans, her pampered sea mink is genetically engineered for spying, and her well-publicized new romance with handsome Galatian medic Justin Hello is her most dangerous mission ever. But when Paris discovers that Justin is keeping a secret that could plunge New Pacifica into another dark age, she realizes she's not just risking her heart, she's risking the world she's sworn to protect. Inspired by the Scarlet Pimpernel, Across a Star-Swept Sea is a thrilling adventure in which nothing is as it seems, and two teens must fight for a future only they dare to imagine. And I thought it sounded really cute. Okay, this was $3.19. Next we have Freak Show by James St. James. And this cover. This just screams fabulous drag queen to me. This says, meet Billy Bloom, a new student at the ultra-white, ultra-rich, ultra-conservative Dwight D. Eisenhower Academy. A drag queen extraordinaire. Actually, drag queen does not begin to describe Billy and his fabulousness. How about glitteroid, twinkle queen, or gender obscurist? Any way you slice it, Billy is not a typical 17-year-old, and the Bible Bells, Aber zombies, and football heroes at the Academy have never seen anyone quite like him before. And Billy's attempts to both stand out and fit in are not met with the desired response. But thanks to the help and support of one good friend, Billy's able to take a stand for outcasts and underdogs everywhere in his own outrageous, over-the-top, sad, funny, brilliant, and unique way. And this was $3.19. And then the last book in this box is Don't Touch by Rachel M. Wilson. And it says here, don't touch or else I'll break. This says, step on a crack, break your mother's back, touch another person's skin, and dad's gone for good. Caddy has a history of magical thinking, of playing games in her head to cope with her surroundings, but it's never been this bad before. When her parents split up, don't touch becomes Caddy's mantra. Maybe if she keeps from touching another person's skin, Dad will come home. She knows it doesn't make sense, but her games have never been logical. Soon, despite Alabama's humidity, she's covering every inch of her skin and wearing evening gloves to school. And that's where things get tricky. Even though Caddy's the new girl, it's hard to pass off her compulsions as artistic quirks. Friends notice things. Her drama class is all about interacting with her scene partners, especially Peter, who's auditioning for the role of Hamlet. Caddy desperately wants to play Ophelia, but if she does, she'll have to touch Peter and kiss him. Part of Caddy would love nothing more than to kiss Peter, but the other part isn't sure she's brave enough to let herself fall. From rising star Rachel M. Wilson comes a powerful, moving debut novel about the friendship and love that are there for us if only we'll let them in. And I thought it sounded really, really good. And this was $2.69. And I got all 11 books here for $35.89. And I didn't think to use any rewards on that one. Okay, on to the next box. Oh, I have a $5 off when you spend $40 or more coupon. Cool. Those are always nice to get. And then I have my receipt. And we got some paper. Okay, so the first book I have here, I totally got because of Chelsea over at Chelsea Dolly Reads, because she's been talking a lot lately about Tessa Bailey books. And I found Disorderly Conduct, which is the first book in the Academy series by Tessa Bailey. And, well, smutty read. It says, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Police Academy cadet Charlie Burns can't believe his luck when the gorgeous blonde he meets in a bar murmurs those magic words. Nothing serious, Kay? Mind-blowing, no-string sex with Ever Carmichael. It's the holy grail of hookups for a guy who's too busy following his law enforcement family's footsteps to think about getting serious. Charlie's all about casual. That is, until Ever calls it quits and his world tilts on its axis. Ever knows that when you control the relationship game, you can't get played. But for the first time, she wants more than short-term satisfaction. Step 1, end her fling with commitment-phobic Charlie. Step 2, sacrifice herself to the ruthless NYC dating scene. Yet everywhere she turns, there's Charlie, being his ridiculously charming self. No online match or blind date compares to the criminally hot cop in training, but they're over, aren't they? If love is a 4-letter word, why does the idea of ever seeing someone else tie Charlie up in knots? Now he's desperate to win her back, and a little date sabotage never hurt anyone, right? And I thought this sounded super cute. And I got this for $2.37. Okay, next up I have Two Can Keep a Secret If One Is Dead by Carolyn M. McManus. And she's the author of One of Us is Lying. This says, Echo Ridge is small town America. Ellery's never been there, but she's heard all about it. Her aunt went missing there at age 17, and only 5 years ago, a homecoming queen put the town on the map when she was killed. Now, Ellery has to move there to live with her grandmother, who she barely knows. The town is picture perfect, but it's hiding secrets. And before school even begins for Ellery, someone declares open season on homecoming, promising to make it as dangerous as it was 5 years ago. Then, almost as if to prove it, another girl goes missing. Ellery knows all about secrets. Her mother has them. Her grandmother does too. And the longer she's in Echo Ridge, the clearer it becomes that everyone there is hiding something. The thing is, secrets are dangerous, and most people aren't good at keeping them. Which is why in Echo Ridge, it's safest to keep your secrets to yourself. And I got this for $6.02. Okay, next up is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. And I seriously got this because I keep seeing it everywhere, like everywhere. And every time I see it, it makes me think of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Honestly, I have no idea what this book's about, but because I cannot seem to break that whole 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, the names are too much similar. I don't know if the stories are any kind of similar. They both came out, I want to say, around the same time, and it kind of just kept messing with my head, and eventually I bought it. I've read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. So let's see what this is about. It's meant to be a celebration, but it ends in tragedy. As fireworks explode overhead, Evelyn Hardcastle, the young and beautiful daughter of the house, is killed. But Evelyn will not die just once. Until Aidan, one of the guests summoned to Blackheath for the party, can solve her murder, the day will repeat itself over and over again. Every time ending with the fateful pistol shot. The only way to break this cycle is to identify her killer. But each time the day begins again, Aidan wakes in the body of a different guest, and someone is desperate to stop him ever escaping Blackheath. Okay, so it sounds super interesting. And I'm sure I actually read this back when the synopsis before I ordered the book, because I typically do. But I also typically forget what I've read. So by the time I get around to reading this book, I won't remember what it's about. This was $5.09. Also, I got Bring Me Back by B.A. Paris. And I purchased a couple other B.A. Paris books and hauled them in another video. And somebody commented that I should get this one as well because it was also on Book Outlet. And that I should binge read all 3 books. And they're short and that they were really, really good. So I thought I would take this one as well. I have, Behind Closed Doors and The Breakdown. This one says, she went missing. He moved on. A whole world of secrets remain. Until now. Finn and Layla are young, in love, and on vacation. They're driving along the highway when Finn decides to stop at a service station to use the restroom. He hops out of the car, locks the door behind him, and goes inside. When he returns, Layla is gone, never to be seen again. That is the story Finn told the police, but it's not the whole story. 10 years later, Finn is engaged to Layla's sister, Ellen. Their shared grief over what happened to Layla drew them close, and now they intend to remain together. Still, there's something about Ellen that Finn has never fully understood. His heart wants to believe that she is the one for him, even though sixth sense tells him not to trust her. Then, not long before he and Ellen are to be married, Finn gets a phone call. Someone from his past has seen Layla, hiding in plain sight. There are other odd occurrences. Long-lost items from Layla's past that keep turning up around Finn and Ellen's house. Emails from strangers who seem to know too much. Secret messages, clues, warnings. If Layla is alive and on Finn's trail, what does she want? And how much does she know? A tour de force of psychological suspense, Bring Me Back will have you questioning everything and everyone until its stunning climax. And I got this for $6.02. Next up we have The One Memory of Flora Banks by Emily Barr. This says, you always remember your first kiss. Flora remembers nothing else. 17-year-old Flora Banks has no short-term memory. Her mind resets several times a day and has since the age of 10. That is, until she kisses Drake, her best friend's boyfriend, the night before he leaves town. And that one memory becomes the one she cannot forget. Convinced that Drake is responsible for restoring her memory, Flora goes after him on an impossible journey to Norway to piece together the shards of her fractured mind. But from the moment she arrives in the Arctic, nothing is quite as it seems. And it's up to Flora to be brave if she wants to learn the truth about herself once and for all. And I thought this sounded really interesting. It also says up here, it's not a lie if you can't remember the truth. And I got this for $3.30. Okay, next up is What to Say Next by Julie Buxbaum. And this says, sometimes a new perspective is all we need to make sense of the world. When an unlikely friendship is sparked between relatively popular Kit Lowell and socially isolated David Drucker, everyone is surprised. Most of all, Kit and David. Kit appreciates David's blunt honesty. In fact, she finds it bizarrely refreshing. David welcomes Kit's attention and her inquisitive nature. When she asks for his help figuring out the how and why of her dad's tragic car accident, David is all in. But neither of them can predict what they'll find or how it will change them. What to Say Next celebrates the uniqueness in all of us and the importance of recognizing opportunities that seem beyond our reach. And I got this for $2.79. Okay, next up I have Fierce Like a Firestorm, which is the sequel to Wicked Like a Wildfire by Alana Popovic. And this cover is just as gorgeous as that cover. And Wicked Like a Wildfire is about these girls who, in their family, all of the women have some kind of special magical ability. But their mother has warned them that they can't share their magic with anybody and they're forbidden to ever fall in love. And then their mother is attacked and they kind of go on the hunt, I guess, to solve what happened. And they learn about this curse on their family. And I guess it's them trying to get rid of the curse. But I wanted to go ahead and get the sequel to this as well because I'd like to read that at some point. And I mean, they're so pretty. And I've heard really good things about these. So I got this one for $5.09. And the last book in this box is a book that somebody else mentioned to me. One of you actually mentioned to me after I did my top 10 book dads video. And they said that this was the book that came to mind when they were trying to think of a book with a good dad in it. And that is None of the Above by I.W. Gregorio. And this says, what if everything you knew about yourself changed in an instant? When Kristen Latimer is voted homecoming queen, it seems like another piece of her ideal life has fallen into place. She's a champion hurdler with a full scholarship to college, and she's madly in love with her boyfriend. In fact, she's decided that she's ready to take things to the next level with him. But Kristen's first time isn't the perfect moment she's planned. Something is very wrong. A visit to the doctor reveals the truth. Kristen is intersex, which means that though she outwardly looks like a girl, she has male chromosomes, not to mention boy parts. Dealing with her body is difficult enough, but when her diagnosis is leaked to the whole school, Kristen's entire identity is thrown into question. As her world unravels, can she come to terms with her new self? Incredibly compelling and sensitively told, None of the Above is a thought-provoking novel that explores what it means to be a boy, a girl, or something in between. And I thought that sounded really interesting. And I got this for $4.66. So I got all 8 of these books for $35.34, and then I used $20 in rewards and got them for $15.34. So not too bad. Okay, now on to the last box. Okay, right off I have my receipt here. And then we've got some paper and some more paper. Okay, so the first book that I have here is actually a book that Xander wanted me to get, and that is Disappearance at Devil's Rock by Paul Tremblay. And I know this author's name from Kayla over at Books and Lala. so this says, a family is shaken to its core after the mysterious disappearance of a teenage boy in this eerie tale from the author of A Head Full of Ghosts. Late one summer night, Elizabeth Sanderson receives the devastating news that every mother fears. Her 13-year-old son, Tommy, has vanished without a trace in the woods of a nearby state park. The search isn't yielding any answers, and Elizabeth and her 11-year-old daughter, Kate, struggle to comprehend Tommy's disappearance. Feeling helpless and alone, their sorrow is compounded by anger and frustration. Neither the state nor local police have uncovered any leads. Josh and Lewis, the friends who were last to see Tommy before he vanished, may not be telling the whole truth about that night in Borderland State Park, when they were supposedly hanging out at a landmark they've renamed Devil's Rock. Living in an all-too-real nightmare, Elizabeth is wholly unprepared for the strange series of events that follow. She believes a wraith-like apparition of Tommy materializes in her bedroom, while Kate and the other local residents claim to see a shadowy figure peering through the windows in the dead of night. Then, random pages torn from Tommy's journals begin to mysteriously appear, entries that reveal an introverted teenager obsessed with the phantasmagoric, the loss of his father, killed in a drunk driving accident a decade earlier, a folktale involving the devil and the woods of Borderland, the coming zombie pocket clips, and a horrific incident that Tommy believed connected them all. As the search grows more desperate and the implications of what happened become more ominous and sinister, no one is prepared for the shocking truth about that night at Devil's Rock. And I think this sounds really interesting myself, so I may also read this. And I got this for $1.29. Okay, so next up is a book that I'm going to unhaul or put in a giveaway or something like that, because I ordered it on Book Outlet and it wasn't actually going to arrive by the time I needed it, so I ordered it off of Amazon as well. It's just a little thing for Sander for like his summer reading for school, and that is Blood on the River, Jamestown 1607 by Eliza Carbone. And well, this is just like a required summer reading for Xander. It's 400 years ago, a boy fought to survive in Jamestown. And yeah, so I don't need 2 copies of it. But I paid $3.89 for this. Okay, next up we have Midlife Ex-Wife by Stella Gray, a diary of divorce, online dating, and second chances. And this has a blurb that says, a Bridget Jones for the internet dating age. And this has another blurb that says, the literary equivalent of the When Harry Met Sally line, tell me I'll never be out there again. This says, singers may croon about love being lovelier the second time around, but it can also be far more complicated. When Stella Gray's husband leaves her, vodka and ice cream are only short-term consolations. Realizing she needs to take her future in her own hands, Stella dives into the world of online dating and quickly discovers that the more perfect a man appears on the screen, the wearier she should be. Amid flirty emails, Skype chats, and awkward small talk over glasses of bad wine, which may or may not lead to awkward sex, Stella struggles to remain optimistic. To succeed, does she have to redefine the kind of man she's looking for, or change the kind of woman she is? And I paid $1.29 for this as well. And I just realized that the person that they're talking about in the synopsis is the author's name, which is a pseudonym, by the way. But this is actually an autobiography. Okay, next up is another book that Xander asked me to order. And I actually already have a different edition of this, so this is definitely for him. That is The Essential Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. And this is the Barnes & Noble Classics edition, in paperback anyway. And she's thick. So if you take off like all the end notes and that kind of thing, comments and questions and all of that, this actually is 606 pages. But whoo, that text though. I wonder if Xander will actually read this. I hope so. I think he would enjoy it. But she thick. I got this for $4.39. Okay, next up is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I actually heard this kind of suggested many times. If you liked Eliza and Her Monsters, you'd like Fangirl. And I absolutely loved Eliza and Her Monsters. And this sounded really cute. And I just realized it's got sprayed edges that match the cover. Oh, okay, I really like that. This says, Kath is a Simon Snow fan. Okay, the whole world is a Simon Snow fan, but for Kath, being a fan is her life, and she's really good at it. She and her twin sister Wren ensconced themselves in the Simon Snow series when they were just kids. It's what got them through their mother leaving. Reading, rereading, hanging out in Simon Snow forums, writing Simon Snow fan fiction, dressing up like characters for every movie premiere. Kath's sister has mostly grown away from fandom, but Kath can't let go. She doesn't want to. Now that they're going to college, Wren has told Kath she doesn't want to be roommates. Kath is on her own, completely outside of her comfort zone. She's got a surly roommate with a charming, always around boyfriend, a fiction writing professor who thinks fan fiction is the end of the civilized world, a handsome classmate who only wants to talk about words, and she can't stop worrying about her dad, who's loving and fragile and has never really been alone. For Kath, the question is, can she do this? Can she make it without Wren holding her hand? Is she ready to start living her own life? And does she even want to move on if it means leaving Simon Snow behind? It does sound cute. I like the sprayed edges. I'm looking forward to reading this. It looks like it's going to be a really cute book. And I got this for $3.89. Next is A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney. This is a Black Alice in Wonderland retelling. This says, "This isn't the Wonderland you remember. The first time a nightmare came, Alice nearly lost her life. Now with magic weapons and hardcore fighting skills, she battles these monstrous creatures in the dream realm known as Wonderland. Yet even warriors have curfews. Life in real-world Atlanta isn't always so simple. As Alice juggles an overprotective mom, a high-maintenance best friend, and school, keeping the nightmare at bay is turning into a full-time job. When Alice's handsome and mysterious mentor is poisoned, she has to find the antidote by venturing deeper into Wonderland than she's ever gone before, and she'll need to use everything she's learned in both worlds to keep her from losing her head. Literally." I love that. And it says on the back here, "Swords will shatter, hearts will break, heads will roll, drive back the dark." I love a good retelling. And this was $6.49. Okay, so as some of you may know, I've been working on collecting the Sarah J. Maas books. A Court of Thorns and Roses and the Throne of Glass series. I'm kind of accumulating them in pretty much any order I can get them until I have all of them and I can go through and read them. So I was able to get 2 books off of Book Outlet that I could add to my collection. So the first one is, ooh, it's heavy, Kingdom of Ash. Dang, that's a big book. It looks like that without the jacket on. Can't really tell you anything about this because it's part of the Throne of Glass series. This is book 7 and I got this for $6.49. But I can tell you about Throne of Glass if you don't know what that's about. Because the next book I have here is actually a collector's edition of A Throne of Glass. And it's in plastic. It's, I can see that the retail is $35. I paid $11.89 for this. And let me open it up here. Okay, so it's in this beautiful box sleeve. So you pull the book out and ooh-wee, look at that. So there is a ribbon for helping you get it in and out. If you can't get it out, you can pull the little ribbon to help you get it out. Oh, how pretty is Oh. So the chapter headers have like the sword. There's also these little things on the side. And then the pages, like the regular pages, have this thing in the middle. This is a beautiful edition. And I thought, you know, if I was going to buy them anyway, might as well get the prettiest one they had. And this is gorgeous. Okay. So I pulled up on Goodreads what it says about Throne of Glass. And it says here, after serving out a year of hard labor in the salt mines of Endover for her crimes, 18-year-old assassin Selena Sardothian is dragged before the Crown Prince. Crown Prince Dorian offers her her freedom on one condition. She must act as his champion in a competition to find a new royal assassin. Her opponents are men, thieves and assassins and warriors from across the empire, each sponsored by a member of the King's Council. If she beats her opponents in a series of eliminations, she'll serve the kingdom for 4 years and then be granted her freedom. Selenia finds her training sessions with the captain of the guard, Westfall, challenging and exhilarating. But she's bored stiff by court life. Things get a little more interesting when the prince starts to show interest in her, but it's the gruff Captain Westfall who seems to understand her best. Then one of the other contestants turns up dead, quickly followed by another. Can Selenia figure out who the killer is before she becomes a victim? As the young assassin investigates, her search leads her to discover a greater destiny than she could possibly have imagined. And that has a 4.22 rating on Goodreads, which is pretty impressive. Also down at the bottom of this box, I have another $5 off coupon. Woohoo! This one's, it looks like just $5 off with no minimum that you had to pay. Like this other one that I got was $5 off when you spend 40 or more, and this is just a $5 book outlet buck code. Cool. And that was the last in that box. So all 8 of these books were $39.62, and I used one of those little coupons to get $4 off, which brought me down to $35.62. And then I used $20 in rewards, which brought me down to $15.62 for these 8 books. So not bad at all. I'm quite happy with my haul here. Have you read any of these books? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!